Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's session of Roznama. Now, again, a continuation of the Iran-Israel war. So, yesterday, two significant things happened. One was bombing of Pars, South Pars in Iran, and the other was bombing of Ras Lafan in Qatar. All right. Now, do keep these names in mind. South Pars important because it is the largest gas producing reserve in the world, and Ras Lafan is important because it is a global LNG supply hub, okay, or basically that region which supplies the largest quantity of liquefied natural gas. All right, South Pars, largest gas producer, and Ras Lafan, largest LNG exporting hub. All right, now what happened exactly here was that Iranian facilities are being destroyed by Israeli attacks, and Israel undertook a concerted attack on South Pars. South Pars is the largest gas producing region in the world. So South Pars was attacked, which now naturally becomes critical in terms of the global supply availability of gas reserves. Then Iran, in retaliation, destroyed or attacked Ras Lafan in Qatar. Now, Qatar, UAE, these countries are not directly involved in the war, but Iran is targeting these countries because these countries, they host significant, important military bases of the United States of America. And Iran is being attacked by Israel and USA. So that is why Iran is targeting other US bases just to make the US military defunct, nothing else. Okay. So do keep in mind these names and the regions where they belong. Okay. After retaliation, after this particular attack, and that Iran is undertaking destruction of other facility, other oil, energy facilities elsewhere, the US president has released a statement where they're saying that Israel is not going to hit key gas facilities again. Now, Israel has already attacked South Pars, which is the largest one. Now, if you're not doing or not undertaking attacks on other facilities, you're actually not doing any good. You've already destroyed what is the most important one. And this naturally is US president has issued this statement because in all probability, US is somehow now stuck in this entire war. The war, which initially was believed that it will only be, over in all probability a week, because of the entire economic crisis that Iran was actually already suffering from. But then now we are in the 20th day of the war, and the war is nowhere near its conclusion. Okay. So naturally now maybe Trump is feeling anxious that he has unnecessarily pulled or pushed the United States of America into this war, which is actually a war between Israel and Iran. 2-3 days back, we did see a statement of Joe Kent, who resigned from as the head of the counterterrorism agency of USA, and he did issue a statement saying that US has no direct threat from Iran, and US has only been involved in this particular war because he's been pulled. US is being pulled into the war by Israel due to Israeli pressure that USA has entered this particular war, and also because Israel undertakes significant American lobbying. All right. Okay, then Israel, in this entire war that is happening, Israel has been targeting all those regions that in any way oppose the Israel existence in the West Asian region. So since since the wars with Israel and these West Asian regions began back in 1948 itself, there were a large number of anti-Israel groups that cropped up in these regions. Presently, the Israel-Palestine war that is going on is actually between Israel and Hamas, which is a terror organization, which is a radical offshoot of the Palestine Liberation Organization. So Hamas is an organization that is based in Palestine, in the Gaza region, basically. And like Hamas, there are other organizations like the Houthis from Yemen and Hezbollah from Lebanon. All right. So Hezbollah is considered as a radical group which is against the Israel regime, and they've been undertaking concerted proxy wars, direct attacks on Israel since 1980s. All right, 1982, the first direct conflict between Israel and Lebanon took place with the siege of Beirut, Beirut being the capital of Lebanon. So now Hezbollah has also sort of issued or claimed a statement saying that they have successfully destroyed a large number of Israeli tanks and missiles, and they are continuously waging a successful war against Israel. Now, the entire attack on Iran that Israel has undertaken has only undertaken because of these reasons that Iran always provided support to all these anti-Israel groups since the Iranian Revolution of 1979. All right. Okay, then with the destruction of the Ras Laffan base, it is said that because of Iran's entire attack, 17% of the LNG export capacity of Qatar has been destroyed for the next 5 years. So that was the significance that Ras Laffan actually held in terms of LNG supply. Okay. Then naturally, whenever you are fighting a war, you need a large amount of funds, you need large quantities of money. And now Pentagon, the basic administrative block and office of the United States of America, they have issued a statement that it needs around $200 billion to continue the war with Iran, which is a massive number. Okay. All right. Then a few days back, we did have this news piece of Anthropic, where the US president and other official members, they had basically asked Anthropic to give the US administration access to their databases and their basic artificial intelligence tools, which Anthropic had denied. They said that they couldn't give the executive access to the artificial intelligence tool and the entire database. So because you angered the president does not like hearing a no. The president issued an official order, an executive order, saying that the Pentagon will no longer use the services of Anthropic, and they then started calling for a basic, eventual removal of Anthropic as their basic company. All right, so that has been resisted by Pentagon, saying that the artificial intelligence tools that Anthropic actually delivers or has is of a very good quality, is of top notch, which maybe other organizations, companies will not be able to offer. So that is why they're saying that phasing out should not be undertaken for Anthropic. All right. And Anthropic was also in news in the Artificial Intelligence Impact Summit that India had hosted. Anthropic has signed memorandum of understandings with an Indian company, Infosys, to further work in the development of artificial intelligence in India. Okay, so keep the name of the company in mind. Then Tulsi Gabbard, who is the spy chief of USA, in the sense that she's the head of the US national intelligence. So she has said, again, issued a statement saying the same thing, reiterating Kent's statement. And she said that US and Israel, they do not have the same views and aims in the Iranian war. Trump basically undertook this entire war, or US undertook this war just to limit or to destroy all the ballistic capabilities, in the sense the warhead development capabilities, missile development capabilities of Iran, and also to limit their nuclear development. Why Israel has undertaken this particular war? To bring about a regime change in Iran. Regime change, why? Because the Iranian leader, the Ayatollah, has been supporting the anti-Israel groups in the West Asian region. Okay. All right. Then India, like India always does, India has also again called for de-escalation of all the tension that is undertaking in West Asia, and has naturally, like always, called for dialogue diplomacy for resolution of disputes. And also why? Because it is imperative this time specifically because that India is hosting the BRICS summit this year, and this chairmanship is of significant importance. And there are chances that because as of now, there are 3 BRIC members, UAE, Saudi, and Iran, that are involved in a war in West Asia. So there are high chances that these countries would be reluctant to participate in the BRIC summit. So not only India, but also the French President Emmanuel Macron, he has also issued the statement that they are also closely working together to foster peace in the West Asian region, and also to promote dialogue diplomacy. Okay. All right. Then with US, with the European Union, India was also trying to strike free trade agreement negotiations with countries in West Asia, Israel, and the Gulf Cooperation Council. The Gulf Cooperation Council is a council inclusive of around 7 to 8 Gulf country members. Gulf country members, countries which surround the Persian Gulf, which was formed in 1981. And the purpose of this organization is only to ensure a holistic, compatible organization and membership and friendship amongst the Gulf countries. All right. So, because of this ongoing crisis, the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and the ministry has issued a statement saying that free trade negotiations as of now could be delayed. We did undertake a free trade negotiation with the European Union this year after the Republic Day, and that is set to be implemented by November 2026. All right. Here, they've also given you countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council: Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. All right. Okay, then Chhattisgarh also as of now has a BJP government, and like many states where the BJP is in power, they are issuing anti-conversion bills. One is there implemented in the state of Uttar Pradesh, one is there in Maharashtra. Now Chhattisgarh has also brought out its anti-conversion bill, and like every other anti-conversion bill, this bill firstly is named as the Chhattisgarh Dharma Swatantra Vidhayak, Freedom of Religion Bill 2026, and this particular bill, it seeks to replace the 1968 law from the undivided Madhya Pradesh. Undivided Madhya Pradesh in the sense that Chhattisgarh was previously a part of Madhya Pradesh, and in the year 2000, it was separated from Madhya Pradesh to be created as a separate state. All right. This particular act naturally seeks to oppose or just prohibit or somehow limit unlawful conversions. So it says that any conversion that violates the provisions as illegal and introduces stricter penalties, including life imprisonment and a fine of up to 25 lakh in specific cases. What are they going to do is that it will stop conversions carried out by taking advantage of people's poverty and lack of education. Okay. All right. Then punishment up to life term has been proposed under this particular bill. The name of the bill is important, and also it seeks to say that anybody who is maybe a minor, who belongs to the SC, ST, OBC categories and have been converted under false pretexts, their conversions would not be considered as legitimate, and the person who's undertaken their conversion can be imprisoned for a term of not less than 10 years, which can be extended to 20 years, and also a fine of 10 lakh. And this 10 lakh fine would be given as compensation to the victim or the person who has been converted. All right. Okay. Then a few days back, the Supreme Court had taken up a re-look into the definition of industry. So as of now, the Supreme Court has reserved a verdict on the third and the final day of the arguments. All right. And this particular new industrial definition seeks to expand its ambit from to include services of medicine, health, education, etc., to be included into the definition of the industrial sector. Okay. Then the government of India had a few days back issued new guidelines under the Information Technology Act to prevent the circulation of fake news and also to prevent the circulation of content which in any manner would be anti-government in nature. All right. So yesterday, as per these new provisions, certain accounts on the social media platform X were withheld in the sense that they were given notices that their accounts would be suspended due to certain content which were anti-government in nature. All right. Which naturally again draws our attention to the fact that maybe it is not maybe, it is violative of Article 19 of the Constitution, which is a fundamental right. Then Gujarat government has sought to propose amendments to the Disturbed Areas Act. This particular act was brought in to basically prevent distress sale of assets in regions where which were marked maybe by any sort of catastrophic violence, riots, etc. Due to certain communal rights, sometimes people, they start fleeing that particular area, region where they live, and they do not come back to that region, and then their property is sold off in distress sale, which results in a loss to the person who actually owns that property. Okay. So they sought to bring about a change into that, and disturbed areas name would be replaced by specific areas. All right. And these are areas which are maybe likely to become prone to violence. All right. Okay. Then the government, and specifically the Ministry of Commerce, has issued a scheme known as the relief scheme, and this relief scheme has been issued to Indian exporters who export goods and everything to the West Asian region, and their exports somehow has been delayed or has been halted somewhere in between the way to reach their destination. So to such exporters, the government has issued a relief scheme to compensate them and to manage their financial losses in case they face any. Okay. Then yesterday we also got the World Happiness Report. And why is the World Happiness Report released on the 19th of March? Is because on 20th of March we celebrate or observe World Happiness Day. All right. So commemorating the World Happiness Day every year, the Wellbeing Organization, it releases the World Happiness Report. This World Happiness Report was actually a proposal based on the initiative of Bhutan to measure its level of development not on gross development, gross domestic product basis, but based on gross domestic happiness index. All right. So on the same, in accordance with the same provisions, the World Happiness Report was released, and as per this report, India's rank is 116th this year. Last year it was 118. This year we've moved up 2 spaces, and the first country is Finland, and mostly the top 10 ranks, they are all inclusive of the Nordic countries, and Finland has got this rank for the 9th consecutive year. It is Wellbeing Research Center at the University of Oxford that undertakes publishing of this particular report, and also the report has flagged that social media has negative impact on children, due to which the happiness levels they seek to change. All right. Then unhappy countries, we have Sudan and Afghanistan naturally has been ranked the unhappiest country for the 5th time, I believe, and followed by Sierra Leone and Malawi. All right. Okay. Then Pakistan and Taliban, they have announced a 3-day ceasefire in their ongoing wars. Then coming to the editorial for today, the first one is on Donald Trump's miscalculation in Iran, which is significantly now hurting the whole world. Miscalculation in the sense that when this entire war was undertaken, Trump believed that the war will end very quickly. They'll kill the Ayatollah and this will result in a regime change in Iran, but this did not happen. Not only there was no regime change, but also the entire organization of the group of experts, they re-elected a new Ayatollah, which was Ayatollah Mujtaba Khomeini, the second son of the previous Ayatollah Ali Khomeini. And not only there was no regime change in Iran, and there was no overthrow of the Iranian government. There was no capture of Iranian oil resources by USA. Neither were these objectives met, nor has the war come to an end. The last war that took place in 2025 was a 12-day war, and today we've entered the 20th day of this particular war. So firstly, the war is nowhere near a conclusive end. Then we also have now the US citizens, US top officials who are also against this entire war. Joe Kent said that Iran posed no direct threat to USA, yet US undertook this war. Tulsi Gabbard has also issued a statement that Israel and Iran, they have absolutely different things that they want to achieve from this particular war. And then because of this particular war, the entire global supply of oil and gas has come to a halt. So naturally, it is a massive miscalculation on the part of Iran and USA that the war could bring any significant personal greater good to Iran or USA. All right. Then a few days back, we did see that ISRO's Navik satellite has seen a failure. Why? Because you require a minimum of 4 satellites, 4 atomic clocks to facilitate the working of the navigation satellite. So one of them failed just 3-4 days back. That has brought our entire navigation system to a halt. The entire purpose of releasing this IRNAS Navik satellite into space was that India would develop an indigenous navigation system and replace the GPS system that India is currently using, which is America's navigation system. But now with the destruction, with the non-working of our atomic clock, our satellite has failed, and this particular second generation Navik IRNAS satellite, navigation satellites that ISRO had put in the space, there were around 11 satellites. A few of them, around 7 or 8, they did not failed to reach the orbit, or they had absolutely bad clocks. The one that was working also is no longer in a state of working. All right, so this naturally draws our attention to the fact that there are massive technical glitches that ISRO needs to address before ISRO undertakes relaunching of any navigation satellite into space. Then this article you all can go through, just gives you an insight into the everything that is happening there and how oil, gas, and everything is being disrupted because of this war. Okay, then again go through this article. It talks about Ras Lafan's entire destruction, which was a base in Qatar, which acted as the largest global LNG export region. So now we just saw that 17% of global LNG supply for the next 5 years has been destroyed because of this particular bombing. Then it is naturally a concern for India as well, because we are dependent on West Asia massively for import of natural gas. Okay, a very beautiful article and a must-read article. Now, this article draws our attention to one such satyagraha, which is mostly not taught to us much, and it is known as the Mahad Satyagraha. All right, this Mahad Satyagraha took place in 1927, and this year we've entered its 99th year, 27 on 20th of March. Okay, 20th of March 1927, and this year we've reached the 99th year. Next year is the centenary year. So the author here, she's I don't know who's the author. They have somehow Sanjay Hegde. He's a senior advocate, and he has drawn attention of the government that the government must commemorate this satyagraha and celebrate and undertake an year-long celebration to commemorate it. Okay, so the Mahad Satyagraha, 20th of March 1927, took place, and this particular satyagraha was to give access to the people belonging to the Mahad community, to which B.R. Ambedkar also belonged to. Give access to what? Give access to drinking water. All right, so even after 76, 77 years, 78, I think, 78, 79 years of independence this year that we'll enter. Constitutionally, there is no caste system in the country. Constitutionally, you can't undertake caste discrimination in the country, but it is still very much in existence. This particular satyagraha was to permit people belonging to the lower classes to drink water from a public well. all right. And then after he broke this particular law, that entire well in Mahad, it was actually Charvi, I think its name was Charvi, it was actually, you know, sort of sterilized by using cow dung and things like that to sterilize the entire water so that the people belonging to the upper caste could use it, all right. And then not only did he take this entire satyagraha to give access to public water to the people belonging to the lower caste, but also next year he burnt the Manusmriti, the book of law, which actually brought into existence the caste discrimination on paper in the country, all right. Then this ensued with a massively long case for 10 years, and it was in 1937 that one very famous and a very kind judge of the British period, Justice Broomfield, he finally upheld that people belonging to the lower caste should be permitted to access water and other public resources. Justice Broomfield is significantly important because he was the same justice who had sentenced Mahatma Gandhi for a 6-year imprisonment after the non-cooperation movement's Chauri Chaura incident, all right. And during this particular judgment that he had given, where he was sentencing Mahatma Gandhi for a 6-year long imprisonment, he had said things like that he does not wish to extend this sentencing to Mahatma Gandhi, a person who is so strong in his conviction and principles, but he has to do it because it was violative of the law, all right. Then towards the end of it, the author tries to draw a contrast from between the Mahat Satyagraha and the Dandi March, saying that the Mahat Satyagraha was something that was already in existence in India since always. So it was fighting against the people of the country only, while Dandi March was to break the salt law, which was brought in existence by the British in the country, all right. So naturally, this should be commemorated effectively rather than commemorating the Dandi March. Then B.R. Ambedkar, everybody knows, is the person who's behind the constitution in the country, and then he made it a point to remove untouchability as per Article 17 of the Constitution and 14, 15, 16. They also talk about the same. Article 14 seeks to ensure equality before law and equal protection of law. Article 15 talks about no discrimination in terms of caste, creed, gender, race, place of birth, and Article 16 seeks to provide equality of opportunities to everybody without any discrimination on the above same criteria. Article 17 specifically for removal of untouchability. Okay. Then Mamata Banerjee has called that issued a statement, has criticized the Chief Election Commissioner's entire work of assigning or transferring large number of officers in West Bengal during for readying the state for elections that are set to take place next month, I believe, and the results would be declared on May 4th. The model code of conduct has been implemented in the states that are going into elections this month, and model code of conduct allows the Supreme Court, the Election Commission of India, to assign new officers into the state to ensure that political activities are undertaken in a just and fair manner. Okay. Then this article says that recently there were removal motions against the speaker, which was defeated, of the Lok Sabha, and also impeachment motion has been picked up against the Chief Election Commissioner of India. And these two authorities specifically are supposed to be neutral and are supposed to be fair and just and non-partisan in nature. The speaker is supposed to be non-partisan because the speaker is supposed to maintain decorum and order in the Lok Sabha, and he is supposed to give each MP in the Lok Sabha equal opportunity to voice their opinions, etc. The leaders of the opposition, they claimed that the Lok Sabha speaker is partisan in nature, sides with the BJP, and does not permit the opposition members to speak. The CSU, on the other hand, also has been facing similar allegations that he is not undertaking free and fair elections in the country, and he is construing the election results in favor of the majority party. All right. Although through whatever reasons the motions are defeated and no such allegations actually come into reality or they don't materialize effectively, however, bringing impeachments and removals against such officers is a matter of concern, because we are a democracy, and in a democracy, every individual person, etc., is given equal right to voice their opinions and say. All right, so good article, do go through it. Okay, then this article is on the recent amendments that have been proposed in the Transgender Act. All right, so the Transgender Act was brought in 2019, and now it is being amendments are being proposed to it. Amendment is that in the 2019 Act, they said that any person who identifies themselves as transgender and declare and their recognition as a transgender will be based on self-declaration. That is, the person themselves can say that yes, we identify ourselves as a transgender, and the government and other authorities will have to rely on self-declaration. Now, in the 2026 amendment, they are saying that this declaration will be cross-verified by a medical board and also the commissioner and district magistrate of the state or the region. All right, so naturally, it is the government is going back on the previously given autonomy to any individual, dignity to any individual to align themselves with whichever gender or sex, a sex structure or whatever they align themselves with. Okay. Oh. Then yesterday marked the beginning of the Hindu New Year as per the Vikram Samvat calendar. So as per the Gregorian calendar, we're in the year 2026, but as per the Vikram Samvat, we are in the year 2083. So like everything in India, which is celebrated in varied manners because of the amount of diversity that India has, this also is celebrated in different ways in different states of India. So in the northern part of India, we celebrate this as Chaitra Navratri. Okay. In Maharashtra, we in northern part of India. Okay. In Maharashtra, we celebrate it as Gudi Padwa. So this is basically a celebration of Gudi Padwa in Maharashtra. In Kashmir, we celebrate it as Navre. Okay. In Kashmir, in the states of Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka, we celebrate it as Ugadi. And in Manipur, we celebrate it as Sajibu. Sorry, Manipur, we celebrate it as Sajibu Cherabo. Okay. Cherabo. And one more. The Sindhi community, they celebrate it as Cheti Chand. All right. Sorry, Cheti Chand. So one particular festival celebrated in different ways across the country. All right. So do keep this in mind. All right. Then today, in 2003, US launched its war on Iraq, which resulted in a regime change in Iraq and eventual killing, assassination, catching hold of Saddam Hussein. Okay. And then this year, yesterday, India was selected to host the World Indoor Athletics in 2018. All right. And this World Indoor Athletics in 2018 is set to be hosted in Bhubaneswar. All right. So indoor games are basically everything that you play inside, like chess, like carom, etc. Again, significant because 2030 India is hosting the Commonwealth Game. 2036 India is bidding to host the Olympics. All right. So do keep that also in mind. Then Kim Jong-un has witnessed a massive landslide victory, and he swept all the seats in the parliament with a 99.93% vote in the favor of his People's Workers' Party of Korea. Okay. So that was all for today's newspaper analysis. I hope you all had a wonderful session, and I'll see you all tomorrow with the next one. Thank you.